My name is MG, and if you've been here before with me to hear bedtime stories, you know that I love to tell stories. I also love to read them. So I got this book. It is a collection of Grimm's fairy tales, and you might remember about the Grimm brothers if you watched me tell my version of Little Red Riding Hood. But I thought it would be really fun to do some reading today at bedtime. Okay, so I got this book, and I think that, like with a lot of things, it's a great idea to start at the beginning. And it just so happens that the very first story is called The Frog King. In old times, when wishing still helped one, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful. But the youngest was so beautiful that the sun itself, which has seen so much, was astonished whenever it shone in her face. Close by the king's castle lay a great dark forest, and under an old lime tree in the forest was a well. And when the day was very warm, the king's child went out into the forest and sat down by the side of a cool fountain. And when she was dull, she took a golden ball and threw it up high and caught it. And this ball was her favorite toy. Now, it so happened that on one occasion, the princess's golden ball did not fall into her hand, but on the ground below, and it rolled straight into the water. The king's daughter followed it with her eyes, but it vanished, and the well was deep. It was so deep that she couldn't see the bottom. So she began to cry, and cried louder and louder, and she could not be comforted. So as she cried, someone said to her, "What ails you, king's daughter? You weep so that even a stone would show pity." She looked around to the side from where she heard the voice and saw a frog stretching back and forth its ugly head. "Oh, old water splasher, I am weeping for my golden ball which has fallen into the well." "Be quiet, do not weep," replied the frog. "I can help you, but what will you give me if I bring your toy up to you?" "Whatever you will, dear frog," she said. "My clothes, my pearls and jewels, and even the golden crown that I wear on my head." The frog answered, "Well, I don't care for your clothes or pearls or golden crown, but if you will love me and let me be your companion and playfellow and sit by you at the table and eat off your golden plate and drink out of your cup and sleep in your little bed, if you will promise me this, I will go down and bring you your golden ball." "Oh, yes," she said, "I promise." And then she thought, how the silly frog talks. He lives in the water with other frogs and croaks and can be no companion to a human. But the frog, when he had received the promise, put his head into the water, sank down, and shortly came up again with the ball in his mouth. He threw it on the green grass, and the king's daughter was delighted to see her toy once again. She picked it up and ran away. "Wait, wait," said the frog. "Take me. I can't run as fast as you can. Take me with you." But it did no good. She ran home and soon forgot all about the poor frog, who was forced to go back to the well again. The next day, when the princess had seated herself at the table with the king and all the court, she was eating from her little golden plate when something came creeping, splish, splash, splish, splash, up the marble staircase. "Princess, young princess, open the door for me." She ran to see who was outside, but when she opened the door, there sat the frog. She slammed the door and sat down back to dinner. She was quite frightened. The king saw that her heart was beating violently and said, "My child, what are you so afraid of? Is there a giant who wants to carry you off?" "Ah, no," she replied. "It is no giant, just a disgusting frog." "Well, what does this frog want with you?" "Oh, father, yesterday I was in the forest sitting by the well playing, and my golden ball fell into the water, and because I cried, the frog brought it to me. But because he insisted, I promised him that he should be my companion. I never thought he would be able to come out of the water, and there he is outside, and he wants to come in." Meanwhile, the frog knocked again and cried, "Princess, youngest princess, come open the door for me. Don't you know that what you said to me yesterday by the cool fountains of the water? Princess, youngest princess, open the door for me." Then said the king, "What you have promised, you must do. Go and let him in." So the princess went and opened the door, and the frog hopped in and followed her step by step to her chair. And there he sat and cried, "Lift me up beside you." She delayed. Finally, the king commanded her to do it. Once the frog was on the chair, he wanted to be on the table. And when he was on the table, he said, "Push your golden plate nearer to me so we may eat together." She did, but it was easy to see that she did not do it willingly. The frog enjoyed what he ate, but almost every mouthful nearly choked her. Finally, he said, "I have eaten and I am full. Now I am tired. Carry me to your room and make your bed ready, and we both will lie down and go to sleep." And the king's daughter began to cry because she was afraid of the cold frog, and she did not like to touch him. And she especially did not want him to sleep in her pretty, clean bed. But the king grew angry and said, "He who helped you when you were in trouble ought not to be despised by you." So she took hold of the frog with 2 fingers and carried him upstairs and put him in a corner of the bed. But when she was in bed, he crept up near to her and said, "I'm tired. I want to sleep as well as you sleep. Lift me up, or I shall tell your father." Then she was terribly angry and threw him against the wall. "You will be quiet, you odious frog." But when he fell down, he was no frog, but a king's son with beautiful, kind eyes. He, by her father's will, was now her dear companion and husband. Then he told her how he'd been bewitched by a wicked witch, and how no one could have delivered him from the well but herself, and that tomorrow they would go together back to his kingdom. Then they went to sleep, and the next morning, when the sun rose, a carriage came driving up with 8 white horses, which had white ostrich feathers on their heads, and and were harnessed in gold. Behind stood the young king's faithful servant, Henry. Faithful Henry had been so unhappy when his master was changed into a frog that he had caused 3 iron bands to be laid around his heart, lest it should burst with grief and sadness. The carriage was to conduct the new king back to his kingdom, and faithful Henry helped them both into the carriage. He placed himself behind again and was full of joy because of the deliverance. And when they had driven part of the way, the king's son heard a cracking behind him as if something had broken. So he turned round and said, "Henry, the carriage is breaking." "No, master, it is not the carriage. It is the band from my heart, which was put there in my great pain when you were a frog and imprisoned in the well." Again and once again, while they were on their way, something cracked, and each time the king's son thought the carriage was breaking, but it was only the bands which were springing from the heart of faithful Henry, because his master was set free and was happy. Wow, that was a long story, but I hope you enjoyed it. And now it's time for bed, so I hope you have sweet dreams. And if you dream about kissing a frog, do you think your frog might turn into a handsome prince? Hi there.